Hello my dear friends, today I'm going to show you how to do this beautiful baby blanket with only beginner level skills. So actually I had in mind a different pattern, but the lady who sold me the yarn suggested that I do this one. So this is what she showed me. So this is what I aimed for, and this is what I got. I think I nailed it. Don't you think? Yeah. So let's see what we need for this. So this is a square blanket, 90 centimeters each edge. And I bought this anti-pilling acrylic yarn, which is 100 grams and 250 meters. I bought 6 of this, and this one I didn't touch, so I used 5, but half of it I spilled coffee over it and I threw it away, so I used 4.5 balls of this yarn. As you can see, you need a 3.5 to 4.5 needle for this, so I used 4, and I used a circular needle because it's too long. So this is the needle I used when I'm knitting this. And to finish the borders, I was planning on doing something more special, but then I realized just doing a single stitch would look good enough. And here it is. I think it looks quite good. So I used a crochet hook, and this is what I used. So it's a 2.1 millimeter crochet hook. So all the skills you need to finish this, it's how to know seed stitch, purl stitch, knit stitch, how to cast on, cast off, and how to do single stitch crochet. But this is not obligatory. You can just leave it undone, which would still look quite good. So if you're interested in doing this beautiful baby blanket with me, let's begin. So now I have 180 loops on my circular needle. So it's going to be like this. And the edges are covered with seed stitch. So I'm doing seed stitch now. I'll show you how to do it, but remember, if you don't know how to cast on, I have a separate tutorial for that in my channel. And also for the seed stitch, I have a more detailed tutorial in the channel. If you find it difficult to follow it, you can go check that tutorial. So the first loop, it's untouchable. I'm not going to do anything with it. Now let's start. With the seed stitch, the trick is 1 purl, 1 knit, 1 purl, 1 knit, but you have to do the opposite of what you have here. So we have a knit stitch, so we're going to do a purl stitch on it. For a purl stitch, I have my yarn in front of my right needle, and I enter the loop from the right side. I wrap it around, take it off. What do I have next? See the horizontal line here? I have a purl stitch, so I'm going to knit over it. To do a knit stitch, I will have this yarn at the back of my right needle. I will enter the loop from the left corner, left side, wrap it around, take it off. So you don't have to check every stitch and decide what to do. From now on, you can keep on doing 1 knit, 1 purl, 1 knit, 1 purl, and every now and then just stop and check if you're on the right track. So let's do it like that. 1 purl, 1 knit, 1 purl, 1 knit. Now it's time to purl. Let's see. I have a knit stitch and I'm going to purl. So yes, I'm on the right track. I have my yarn in front of my right needle and I'm going to do a purl stitch. Take my yarn at the back of my right needle and I'll do a knit stitch. 1 purl, 1 knit. Okay, so here we are. I have completed the bottom border of my blanket. Now I'm going to start doing my squares. Initially I planned to do 15 rows, but I stopped at 13. The reason is because I'm going to have 15 loops for each square, and when I measured 15 loops, let me show you, it was 8 centimeters. Here, so it was 8 centimeters, and when I measure it, it's 8 centimeters. So I didn't want to do it any longer than that, so I can keep the square. That's why I'm going to do it 13 rows per square and 15 loops. So on the right side and the left side, I'm going to have 15 side stitch grow to be the right border and left border. Then I'm going to have 15 purl stitch, 15 knit stitch, 15 purl stitch, 15 knit stitch, until I arrive at the left end where I'm going to have the final 15 seed stitch. So let's begin. So now let's begin forming our squares. The first 15 seed stitch. Let's start and do it together. The first loop is untouchable. I'm not going to touch it. Now for 15 stitches, I'm going to do a purl if it's a knit and do a knit if it's a purl. For this first row, we have to count very carefully, but later it's going to be much easier. Let's see how many. We have 10, so now we're doing the final 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So now I have finished the right border. This is going to grow like this. But now here I'm going to start my squares. Which one would you like to start with? Let's start with purl. So I'm going to do 15 purl stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, oops, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and done. Now I'm going to do 15 knit stitches. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, I think you have the idea. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, oops, 10, 11, 12. It's going much faster, isn't it? Seed stitch can be such a bore. 13, up, 14, and 15. Now I will do 15 purl stitches. I'm not going to take them all in video, But when I come at the end, remember the border will be 15 seed stitches. I'll see you soon. So I have completed a few rows here, and you can see already that the design started to show itself. Here is the border growing inside stitch, and I have my squares, each 15 stitches long. And now I don't have to count each time because the design can show itself, and it gives you the perfect clue which stitch to do when. I will keep on going. I'm thinking about doing 13 rows, but then when it's 13, I will measure and decide again. It's what's important is that it looks like a square. It doesn't have to be the same amount of stitches and same amount of rows, but it has to look like a square. So I will measure it and decide on the way. So I just want to show you how it looks, and it's actually quite easy. Once you count the first row correctly, then it's just piece of cake. So, welcome to our new show. It's called Spot the Mistake, because I did something wrong and I decided to keep it that way because it's small and I hope no one will notice. But I want to show you the mistake and warn you, so perhaps you will avoid it. So, it's somewhere around here. Can you see if you can notice it? So, I'll explain. Here I was doing the seed stitch, and this was part of the seed stitch. So I did the row, came back. When I'm doing the next row, here I thought that the square already began. So on a purl, I did another purl, okay? But instead I should have done a knit stitch and formed one of these units. And then I kept on going and came back. And on the third row, I realized, oops, that was supposed to be a seed stitch, not a purl stitch. So I kept on doing the seed stitches. So this will grow with seed stitch, but here I'm going to have this bit wrong. Let's see from this side. Actually, here it shows much better, not better, but it's easier to spot the mistake. Seed stitch, knit stitch, and then seed stitch back on. So my suggestion to you is you can do it easier here because these transitions are easier. But when you're transitioning from seed stitch to a square, just make sure you're on the 16th. So I made the transition on the 15th, but you should always start the transition on the 16th. So, okay, good luck. Okay, so here I've made quite a lot of progress. After the border, I finished 3 rows of squares. Here I'm doing 15 stitches each, but here I have 21 stitches. And don't use these numbers exactly, because how I decided these numbers is by just measuring them. So 7.5 centimeters, 7.5 centimeters. So just measure and make sure you have squares and be consistent with these numbers throughout the whole blanket. Now here it's time to change the pattern. So I want to show you how I do that. So 15 stitches of seed stitch first. The first one I'm not touching. Okay, let's start. This is a purl. I'm going to knit. Then this is a knit, and I'm going to purl. Once I finish the border, the first square to come is with purl, so I will change it and I will knit instead. So here I always count, because once I made a mistake, I showed you that. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. I know it's obvious, but still. So it's a pearl here. The first square to come is a pearl, but this is finished. So now it's going to be a knit square on top of it. So I'm going to keep my yarn at the back side and enter each loop from the left, and I will do 15 knit stitches. So when you're changing the patterns, you should always be careful. You know, don't go very fast, just check many times, because you're setting a pattern, and when you make a mistake, it's going to just grow bigger in the following rows. Just be careful here. Okay, so this is finished. I did one row of knit over the pearl. So here I will start to purl squares, because it's the next square is a knit square. It was a knit square, so I will start a purl square here. And I will do 15 purl stitches, and then 15 knit stitches and 15 purl stitches until I arrive at the edge. And at the border, I mean, and there I will do 15 seed stitches. So this is it for now, and I will meet you at the very end. Bye-bye. So it's been a while since we saw each other, and here you can see that I have finished 10 rows of squares. So I'm not going to count them all, but this is 10 rows of squares. And now it's time to do the upper border. So I have to admit, these two last rows, my mother did them for me, but I think you cannot tell, can you? So now this is the upper border, and for the upper border I will stop doing any squares and I will only do seed stitch for 15 rows, and then it will be over. Then I will do the I-cord, which I haven't decided how yet, but I will pick up a way to do it. Probably I'll do it with a crochet. Okay, so let's do a bit together, and then I'll go on myself. Oops, got confused there. I don't knit the first one. So with the seed stitch, you know how it is. You knit the pearls, you purl the knits. And it gives you a beautiful pattern. So now I'm doing the right border, which was already seed stitch, but now the square will begin, and there I will continue with seed stitch instead of going on with the square. Okay, so here the square begins. So here, instead of doing pearls on knits and knits on pearls, I have to do one pearl, one knit until the end, because this will be like the first row of seed stitch, like when we are building the pattern. So what did I do last? I did a pearl, so I will do a knit, then I will do a pearl, then I will do a knit. And I will keep on doing this till the very, very end. Okay. I will see you at the end. Hello, my dear friends. So the blanket is almost over. Look at this. I have 10 rows of squares, and I have also completed the upper border with seed stitch. So now I will cast off, and then I will cover the edges. I tried a little sample here. So I did seed stitch in the middle, and I did with a crochet hook. I just did single stitches twice around the corners, and I think it looks good enough for a blanket. So that's what I'll do with this one as well. I'm not going to do anything more complicated than that. I think this looks quite nice. Look. So how I'm going to cast off is exactly the same with how I do knit stitch. Let me show you. It's okay if you use a different technique, but I take 2 together, wrap my yarn, I take it out, and now this one I transfer it back to the left needle. Then I purl these 2 together. Then the one on the loop on the right, I transfer it back to the left needle. Let's do some more. Take the 2 together, purl them together, and then transfer it back to the left needle. So here you can see that it's casting off beautifully. Purl the 2 together, and then transfer it back. So let me finish casting off, and then when I start the borders I will start filming again. See you. Okay friends, I have completed the cast off, and I didn't tie the final loop. Now it's time to grab your hooks. So I have a 2.1mm crochet hook, and this is the edge that I cast off, and this is the edge I will start doing my single stitch. Let's see how we're going to do that. Enter this last loop. So I will turn it like this. Yes. So for the first one, enter the first hole. Here you see the V shape. Sorry. You see the V shape here. Enter below it. So you have both the V on your hook. But this is only for the first one. Okay. Then what I'll start doing is I will enter the first one in the front and the second one in the back. Oh, sorry. Let me show you again. Enter the first one in the front and the second one in the back. Let's do it again. The first one in the front and the second one in the back. Let's go again. This one. And this one. Yes. The reason we entered in the first loop is if you don't do it, then you don't have a square edge. Instead, you don't have a corner. Instead, you have this oval shape because it pulls. So remember to enter the first one, and then the rest of the border we will do like this. We will enter the first one in the front, the second one in the back, and we'll make a single stitch. First one, second one. So that's how it will go. Let me show you how it looks on the front side. This is how it looks at the back, front side. Yeah. So I will do until I come here, and when I come here, the one at the corner, you have to enter 3 times, because one will cover this side, one will cover this, and one for here. If you don't do that, it will pull, and then you're going to have this oval shape. It's not going to look nice. So you have to enter this one 3 times and do 3 single stitches, and then we'll go along with this corner. So I'll see you when I finish doing the borders, and we'll see the final product. Bye bye.